Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Screen Facts with Jason Davis. And she's back, and better than ever, my spectacular wife, Sue.
Ooh, thank you, honey.
Yeah. So, once again, we are going to talk about a fantastic movie from the 1980s. In fact, it recently celebrated its 30th anniversary.
How can that be? Because the mid-'80s were not 30 years ago, were they? Because that would mean that we're old.
Let's not talk about that. But this movie, again...
It doesn't seem like 30 years ago.
I know, and it stands the test of time wonderfully, and that, again, is because of great writing and a great story and a great cast and great direction and great everything. I'm talking about the 1985 classic.
The Goonies.
The Goonies are good enough.
Good enough for me.
Yeah. So The Goonies, released June 7th, 1985. June 7th, by the way, was officially declared Goonies Day by the mayor of Astoria, where the movie was filmed during the 25th anniversary celebration in 2010, Astoria, Oregon.
Yes, and I want to go there because apparently there's a whole tour you can go on. You can go in the house. They've really made a great tourist attraction out of it.
That's cool. I wonder if they still have the Rube Goldberg machine.
Oh, I wonder.
That opens the gate in the front.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
So the film is directed by Richard Donner, who has done quite a few big movies, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Written by Steven Spielberg, he wrote the story, and Chris Columbus wrote the screenplay. The film stars Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, Jeff Cohen, Corey Feldman, Kerry Green, Martha Plimpton, and Jonathan Key Kwan. And there's some supporting people, too, that are also very good.
Amazing. Yep. Ian Ramsey, Joey Pants.
Yeah, Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano, who's a great character actor, who's done a lot of stuff, and Robert Davi as well.
Yes.
The movie was filmed from October of 1984 through March of 1985. An estimated budget of $19 million. It grossed $61.3 million in the U.S. Kind of moderate numbers for a movie that is this timeless, if you ask me.
Yeah, I guess so.
And just a great, fun movie.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. It really is.
It really is. And it's definitely something that you can enjoy with the whole family.
Yeah.
I think kids of all ages can really relate to this.
Oh, sure.
But yet another movie, when we were watching it recently to prepare for the podcast, where we're going, kids would never do this nowadays.
No, they wouldn't. They would just Google everything.
Yeah.
And, you know.
The premise of the movie is that a group of kids are trying to save their hometown from being taken over by the rich jerks in town who want to just build a country club all over their houses and stuff. They want to knock down their houses and build a country club. And so they go out on a search for this buried treasure.
Yeah, they stumble across the map, literally.
Right.
And decide to go follow it.
Yeah, and the idea that a group of kids are going to find this treasure map and actually try to find the treasure. Like, kids nowadays, they don't have that sense of adventure, probably.
No, I don't even know if half of them would even go outside anymore.
Exactly. Wah, 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 wah.
And actually, the mom says to the older brother, Brandon, don't let Michael out because of his asthma. And it's raining, and don't let him get off the porch. And,
exactly.
You know, and there's Mikey leading the gang.
Right, exactly, with his limp lungs. Is that what he calls that?
Little inhaler.
Yeah, his brother calls him limp lungs.
Limp lungs.
So the group of kids calls themselves the Goonies, and they have an actual oath.
I know.
But
they didn't say it in the movie.
No, it was not in the film. It was cut out of the film. But for those of you who are curious what the oath is, it goes something like this. I will never betray my Goondock friends. We will stick together until the whole world ends. Through heaven and hell and nuclear war, good pals like us will stick like tar. In the city or in the country or the forest or the boonies, I am proudly declared a fellow Goonie.
Oh, we
now we'll give you.
Funny.
We did. We'll give you guys a minute to just wipe the vomit from your face. After that, that was kind of disgusting. Sorry about that.
I liked it.
In the beginning of the movie, this big car chase when the one Fratelli breaks out of jail.
Right.
And there's a black and white movie that Mouth is watching on the TV.
Right. After the, with his dad's working on the plumbing.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That scene is from Some Like It Hot that was directed by Billy Wilder. That was actually a Marilyn Monroe movie.
That was a Marilyn Monroe movie, right?
Yeah, I think Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, right?
And by the way, when we do go to Astoria, which I'm sure we will, I think part of it is you can see that whole route that the cars took
Oh, really?
through town. In the opening, in the very beginning, each kid in the Goonies Goonies is somehow in the area where the car goes past.
Oh, that's
you know,
true.
like Martha Plimpton's character is
That's
like
right.
sticking her head in a barrel.
Yeah, what
and
was that all about? She's like bobbing for crabs?
or something. I don't know.
That's kind of odd.
But all of them,
Yeah.
the cars drive by them.
That's true. And then Chunk is in the pizza place.
Yeah.
And he squishes the pizza and the
his
shake
drink,
against the window and all over himself.
Chunk.
It really grabs you right away with the car chase.
Well, you're not really sure what's going on.
That's true.
In the beginning, if you because think back to the very first time you saw it.
Yeah, it literally starts in the jail cell,
Right.
Where
He fakes hanging himself.
Yeah, Jake Fratelli fakes hanging himself.
Then he gets out, and Joey Pants is pouring the gasoline all around the courthouse and
Right.
gets him on his foot.
Right, and doesn't set himself on fire miraculously. You know what's interesting
Suspension
too?
of disbelief.
Yeah, when Jake Fratelli knocks the guard out,
Yeah.
he climbs down from the apparatus that he has him.
Like
he's hanging
pipes or
on. Yeah, it's like a
something.
pipe, so he
Yeah.
doesn't actually hang himself. And then as he's leaving, he gently puts the pipe next to the guard and walks out rather
Yeah.
than just dropping it.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was interesting. Like if you're in a hurry, you're breaking out of jail. You're
Drop
not
the
really.
pipe.
Yeah,
It's
drop the
okay.
pipe and run,
Well,
dude.
What, are you afraid of making noise?
Yeah, right. Anne Ramsey is so
Oh
good as
my
the
gosh,
mother.
I love her.
God, there's a
Yep.
couple of really funny screen facts involving her, which
Yeah,
we'll talk
yeah.
about in a minute. But yeah, I mean,
So you
know,
start off watching it and you're thinking, okay, so these people are getting out of jail and they're driving past kids.
yeah.
Where's it going?
Yeah, and then the kids all end up at Mikey's house,
Right.
and then you find out that they're all buddies for a long time, and they're like this little gang of buddies,
Yeah.
and then it looks like they're going to be losing their homes
Right.
because the rich prick in town wants to knock down all the homes and
Right,
build
build a country club.
a country club.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out a way to save the town.
Yeah. Or at
And-
least save their homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Sean Astin's character, Mikey, says, "Oh, Dad'll figure out a way to make this work." And his older brother says, "Yeah, if he gets his next 4,000 paychecks all at once,
Yeah. Aw.
maybe," or something like that.
Yeah.
So, according to Sean Astin, he was allowed to keep the treasure map that was used in the film. Several years later, his mom in real life, Patty Duke, discovered it. She thought it was just a crinkled piece of paper, and she threw it in the garbage.
Oh my gosh, Mom.
Mom!
Oh, this is why you have to be careful. If you're allowed to keep a prop,
Yeah.
where are you going to put it?
Frame it. Do something
Frame
with
it. Absolutely.
But the production designer on the film, J. Michael Riva, said in an NPR interview that before shooting the first scenes with the prop map, he thought it looked good, but not old enough.
Yeah.
So he was in his hotel room, and he aged it with some coffee, and when he couldn't find paint, he actually used his own blood on the map. So you hear people saying, "Oh, I put a lot of hard work into that, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears." He literally used his own blood to make the map.
Boy, he's devoted to his art, isn't he?
Yeah, that's an artiste right there.
Yeah, it's funny because when you think about it, any set or any props like that have to look old all have to be aged.
Right.
So all the stuff in their attic was probably brand new stuff that they put in an attic, and then they had to cover it with dust, put the cobwebs on it.
I'm just going to compliment you really quick. You're really good at that sort of thing.
Why, thank
you.
you.
When we did the Pitch Perfect podcast a month or two ago, whatever it's been now, we talked about your background in theater.
Right.
And you've had to do that. You've had to take props and make them look older.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, Sean Astin wasn't the only person involved with this film that got to keep a prop from the film.
That's right. That's right.
Richard Donner, the director, kept both One-Eyed Willie's heads and a model for the ship as well.
Wow, yeah.
Yes. And speaking of the ship, One-Eyed Willie's pirate ship was entirely real, which is very interesting. Nowadays, a lot of that stuff is probably done with CGI, but back in the mid-'80s, they built things, which was kind of cool. The Inferno was 105 feet long and took 2.5 months to construct. It was modeled after Errol Flynn's ship in The Seahawk, film from 1940. And I wonder if that's the film
I think that's the film that Sloth is watching.
Sloth is watching, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
because
cool.
he uses the same technique of the knife
in
down the sail to
Yeah.
get down.
The sails required more than 7,000 square feet of material. The largest measured 30 feet by 60 feet, and some of the ship's rigging was recycled from the Pirates of the Caribbean ship at Disneyland, which was being renovated at the time.
Smart move.
All the shots were filmed in the ship. After the film, it was offered to anyone who would take it. No one wanted it, so they ended up having to scrap it.
Where are you going to put it?
I don't know.
I would take it, but where are you going to put it?
Yeah, that's true. I guess
In the backyard?
It's a
I don't
giant
know.
pirate ship, yeah.
Yeah. Although, if you had kids, you could make like a whole fort thing out of it.
Yeah, you can have your own Goonies thing in your backyard,
Yeah.
right? You'd have to have a pretty big backyard.
Yeah, that's true.
The cast was not allowed to see the ship before any of the
That's right.
scenes were shot. Richard Donner wanted to catch their genuine reactions at the size and scope of it. And when they did see it, Josh Brolin who plays the older brother Bran, was so surprised that he exclaimed, "Holy shit!" And of course, the scene had to be reshot because they were going for
Thanks, Josh.
something a little less obscene.
Yeah.
Although they do say shit in the movie.
They do.
It's not like
A couple times.
Yeah.
Except for
Jonathan Key
Data.
Kwan.
Yeah. He's in that scene where the rocks are falling from the cave ceiling, and he screams, "Holy shit!" And he said it because his mother made him promise not to use any bad language in the movie.
Right. So he spelled it instead.
So he spelled it.
When the Fratelli brothers argue, by the way, Fratelli means brothers in Italian. So they're the brothers.
The brothers.
Yeah. So Anne Ramsey, who plays the mother, really slaps Robert Davi, and she was told to hit him as hard as she could.
Was that where you noticed on the backswing that she pulled Joey Pants' earbuds out?
No, that's a little bit later on.
Later?
Yeah, there's a scene where she slaps Robert Davi, but when she swings...
And he pulls back to do it and swings?
Yeah, Joey Pants, who
Standing
plays
right
the
there.
other brother.
Yeah.
He has an I was going to say an iPod.
Oh, yeah.
He has a Walkman.
Yeah, and a headset.
Yeah, and like the
headphones,
old style,
yeah.
the old Walkman style headphones. And when she swings, she accidentally pulls the headphone out of the jack.
And you can see his face.
Yeah, he wasn't
He's kinda
expecting.
like, "Oh."
And he starts to laugh.
Yeah, he starts to
break a little bit, but he catches himself.
Yeah.
But you can definitely see that he almost lost it.
That was funny.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that happen in the movie that are mistakes like that.
The funny thing is they go so fast you wouldn't notice.
Exactly, if you're not paying attention or if you're not reading these facts.
Exactly.
And another one that's really funny too, there's a scene in the movie where Chunk breaks a cooler, a water cooler.
Right. And it's glass.
Yeah, it's glass. Right around that scene, Mikey's trying to break through the fireplace floor because he feels like he can sense that there's a cave there.
Yeah, and he's got that poker.
Yeah, he's hitting with a fireplace poker, and he hits it, and he can't break through, and then he drops the poker. Right after that, his brother Bran, played by Josh Brolin, grabs him and says, "Come on, Mikey, we're getting out of here." And Sean Astin actually calls him by his real name.
Yeah.
He calls him. He's like, "Come on, Josh, we can get down there." So that's actually really funny.
How
and I
did
never
that
noticed
stay
that.
in? I guess nobody noticed.
Yeah, I never noticed it, and it was probably maybe they figured it happened so fast that people aren't going to notice it, and it's not worth reshooting the scene because everything was like the energy was good or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you watch that scene, you can clearly hear him call him Josh. It's really funny.
Really funny.
So one of the things that happens a couple of times in the movie is Robert Davi's character just starts breaking out into opera for no reason.
Why not?
Yeah. And you're like, why is he singing? Turns out he's a trained opera singer.
Yeah, that's right.
He I guess he wanted to, he suggested, why not put that in the movie?
Yeah. Poor Sloth. Could you imagine being in a family like that?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, how many of us feel like we have dysfunction in our families? Now, I know I do for sure, but
well,
man.
who doesn't?
But the two of them.
Those two brothers.
And the mother.
They're arguing over the pizza. They pull guns on each other over like the last slice of pepperoni. The mom's slapping them and yelling at them. And
I mean, it's obviously, ridiculous what goes on, between them. But
and then you have Sloth.
Sloth is a great character.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a big part of the movie.
Right.
John Matusak.
He was a football player, right?
He was a football player. In fact, he played for the Oakland Raiders. And one of the things you'll notice in the movie, too, is that Sloth is wearing an Oakland Raiders t-shirt.
That's right.
And then later on in the movie, he rips his shirt.
Oh, that's right. He rips his shirt open and he's got the S for Superman there.
Exactly. And that's actually a nod to another Richard Donner film, because Richard Donner, as discussed in a prior podcast with Les Sinclair.
I love that podcast.
Directed Superman and Superman 2.
Yeah.
Or at least started directing Superman 2. But that's a whole other story that you'll have to get. Yeah, you'll have to listen to that podcast to get that story. But John Matusak's makeup, the Sloth makeup, took 5 hours to complete. One of the eyes, which was out of place on his face, he had like the whole kind of Picasso thing going on his face. One of the eyes, the one that's drooping, was mechanically operated off screen by remote control. And what they would do is they would do a countdown. And then Matusak would blink his other eye in synchronization with that one. In fact, the cast was told not to get him wet in the scenes outside of the pirate ship.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Unfortunately, he did get wet. It actually delayed filming for an entire day at one point.
Yikes.
Yeah, so, what are you you got a cast of kids.
Yeah. And all that water. How much water did they use?
They used 900,000 gallons of water.
Yeah, I mean, someone's going to get wet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's probably going to be the big guy.
Yeah.
The biggest guy out there. So one of the great scenes in the movie is when the Fratellis capture Chunk.
Oh my gosh. And she's going to stick his hand in the blender with the tomatoes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And they need him to confess.
His little chubby hands.
Yeah.
And first of all, let's just talk about Chunk for a minute. How great is Jeff Cohen as that character?
Oh my gosh.
And you can't talk about Chunk without mentioning the Truffle Shuffle.
No, that's right.
Because if we don't at least talk about the Truffle Shuffle a little bit, I know there's going to be some pissed off fans of this movie listening to the podcast.
That's right. So apparently Jeff Cohen actually, after he was cast, got the chicken pox.
Yes.
But he showed up on set anyway.
Right. He's like, I'm not losing this gig.
That's right. I guess thankfully all the other kids must have had it already. Because in my neighborhood growing up, when one kid on the block got chicken pox, all the moms brought the other kids to just get there and get it over with.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, nobody else got them on set.
But Jeff Cohen says if you look at his belly in the Truffle Shuffle, you can see some of the pock marks.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I didn't. I know.
I got to look at that
again.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I mean, his character is known for being kind of a pathological liar.
Yeah.
So he calls the sheriff's department to let them know about the Fratellis, and you got to come help us, blah, blah, blah. And the sheriff says, oh, this is like the time you called about the creatures that multiply when you throw water on them.
Right.
That is a nod to Gremlins from 1984. Right. I mentioned before that Chris Columbus wrote the screenplay to this movie. Well, he also wrote Gremlins, and Steven Spielberg produced Gremlins. So both people are involved in this movie as well.
What a great time for movies that was, let me tell you.
It really was.
Gremlins one year, Goonies the next.
So fun. The Fratellis, they grab Chunk
right.
when he's trying to run away. And you're going to tell us everything we want to know. You're going to confess everything. He's like, everything? Yeah, everything.
Everything, okay. Well, when I was 3, I did this and that.
So he admits to pushing his sister Edie down the stairs and blaming it on the dog. That's actually his real sister's name, Edie.
Yes.
And stealing his Uncle Max's toupee.
Mm-hmm. He has an uncle named Max.
Yeah, whether or not he wears a toupee. Yeah, exactly.
Only Max knows.
So that big scene, he's crying.
In order to generate the tears for the scene, he thought of his mother dying.
Aww. That's sad.
That's sad what these poor actor kids have to go through.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the basis for the theater story where Chunk says he pretended to puke over the balcony, that was a real-life prank pulled by Steven Spielberg while growing up in Phoenix, Arizona.
Very interesting. And I love that scene.
That is horrible.
That sounds like a really funny prank, actually.
It sounds disgusting.
It's disgusting.
He makes fake vomit and pours it over the balcony. He makes these sounds. And then
everybody started throwing over the dinner. And my favorite part of that scene is when Robert Davi, he's got his arm around him. He's like, hey, Mom, I'm really starting to like this kid.
That's right. Chunk, also Jeff Cohen said, because of his size, he usually got cast as that kind of a sidekick character.
Right.
And I think he originally auditioned for the part of Mouth.
Another famous actor that also auditioned for that was Corey Haim.
That's right, the other Corey.
If you grew up in the 80s, you know that Corey Haim and Corey Feldman were buddies, and they did a lot of movies together. They hadn't met until this. They actually met during the auditions for this. And then, of course, they went on to do The Lost Boys in 87. Right. They became best friends. They did 6 more movies together. A side note about Haim, he played the title role in a 1986 film called Lucas, which also featured Cary Green, who plays Andy in The Goonies. So I guess, at this time, there were all these young actors. This was like the second Brat Pack almost,
Yeah.
The Brat Pack, of course, was like Rob Lowe, Judd Nelson, Emilio Estevez, Demi Moore, Molly Ringwald, all the people that were in like all those John Hughes movies. Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and all that. But then there was like another
little group coming around this time,
Exactly.
And the Coreys. I remember the Coreys. I wasn't even that big into their stuff, but they were huge.
They were
all over like the teen magazines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I ever had those.
No, of course not. So, as the Goonies are making their way through the cave and they're trying to get through and find the rich stuff, as they call it, they stumble upon all of the different booby traps and
booby trap. What?
It's booby traps. That's what I said.
Booby trap.
Data.
Well, Mikey says it first too.
Yeah, they both. There's a
recurring thing. Yeah,
that's right.
It's very cute. Well, Mikey misspeaks a lot. And they call him out on it. It's very funny.
Yeah, it's a great reoccurring joke.
Yeah.
They find Chester Copperpot. And Chester Copperpot, by the way, when they're in the attic and they first discover the map, there's also a newspaper article about Chester Copperpot, the guy who went after One-Eyed Willie's treasure.
And was never found.
And it never came out. Well, the newspaper article photo of Chester Copperpot is an actor by the name of Keenan Wynn. Wynn was the guy who provided the voice of the Winter Warlock in the animated Christmas classic, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I'm sure we've all seen that. He died in 1986. He had a career about 40 plus years. He spent a lot of it, at least toward the end, in 70s and 80s TV shows. He even earned an Emmy nomination for Policewoman in 1978. So he was a very successful actor. So as they're making their way through the caves, the underground caves, trying to find One-Eyed Willie's ship, a big scene is when they move the big giant boulder out of the way.
Right. God put that rock there for a reason.
Exactly. So, and you hear like something down there. What's going on? And then they move the rock, and all of a sudden, like bats started flying out of there. Rabies! So the way they did that scene, the bats that come out of the cave and eventually up and out of the fireplace at the Fratelli's restaurant, they were made of crumpled black pieces of crepe paper.
Amazing.
That were shot out of an air cannon.
Amazing.
Yeah. And obviously they had some rubber bats too for like the close-ups in front of their faces and stuff. But yeah, very cool.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Again.
No bats were harmed in the making of this movie.
Exactly. Mainly because Ozzy Osbourne wasn't on the set.
And, seeing that bat scene every time, I just get the heebie-jeebies every time I see a bat scene. And I'm brushing at my own hair to get them out.
When don't you get the heebie-jeebies when you see bats,
true,
honestly?
Yes. It's not exactly like seeing a puppy.
Right, exactly. They're not exactly warm and cuddly.
Yeah, no.
When you're a director on a movie like this, it's probably extra challenging because you're working with mainly a cast of kids. There's adults in the movie too, but it's most of the time it's the kids.
Core scenes are the kids. Yeah.
Exactly.
He said he was a confirmed bachelor.
Oh, wow.
At that stage in his life, but he really felt fatherly towards the kids.
I mean, kids, obviously the attention span is going to be a little lacking and this and that.
Corralling them,
exactly.
Don't play with the props.
Steven Spielberg.
I'm such a Richard Donner myself. I know. Sorry.
You're a little prettier though.
Oh, shucks. Thanks.
Oh, we're going off the rails, people. So
another Ozzy reference.
Oh, geez.
Oh.
So, Steven Spielberg obviously has done his share of projects where kids were involved. Of course, the biggest one is E.T.
Exactly.
He was the producer on the movie. He actually did direct at least one scene in this movie.
He did.
They don't say in the notes which scene it was, but he was involved in a director's capacity in at least one scene. But anyway, Richard Donner said in an interview that Spielberg had instructed the cast members to act kind of cold and distant toward him on the last week of filming, which Donner was kind of puzzled by because he had developed this rapport with the kids during the filming of the movie.
Yeah.
Shortly after filming wrapped, Donner went to his beach house in Hawaii. So he ran into a neighbor who took up his entire day. Sometimes you just get involved.
Yeah, catch up.
Especially if you haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
And so he finally gets home, and the entire cast is there to celebrate with a cookout. So the whole time it was kind of like this ruse.
Yep.
Spielberg flew them over to Hawaii on the promise that they not speak a word of the surprise to Donner, and that's why they were acting cold to him.
Yep.
The interesting thing about the movie, too, is that all the Goonies are, for the most part, referred to by nicknames. There's a couple of mentions of their full names or their real names in the movie if you pay attention carefully.
Right.
So here are the real names of the characters that are barely mentioned in the movie. So Mikey, of course, is Michael Walsh.
Mm-hmm. Mouth is Clark Devereaux.
Data's real name is Richard Wang or Wang. What do you think?
Wang.
Wang?
Yeah.
I've actually heard W-A-N-G pronounced Wang. Too.
Really?
I think so.
I think that's the Wong way to say it.
So Brandon Walsh is referred to as Brand.
Brand, yeah. Lawrence Cohen is Chunk.
Andy's full name is Andrea Teresa Carmichael.
Oh, that's a
fancy,
very fancy name. Steph is Stephanie Steinbrenner.
No relation to the Yankees family.
And Sloth's real name was
Lotney Fratelli.
Lotney.
Yikes.
I never remember hearing them say that. Ever.
No, they never do. I don't think.
It's
I
just
think
like
he's
a little known fact kind of thing.
Exactly. One of the great things about the character of Data.
Oh, he's so cute, and he has all those cool inventions.
Yeah. By the way, same actor who played Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. One of the gadgets that he has is, slick shoes!
Slick shoes!
So he pulls a couple of cords on his belt or his chest or whatever, and the heels of his shoes pop open, and what looks like oil is shot all over the log, so the Fratellis will slip and bust their nuts.
Yeah.
So the oil substance that shot out of Data's slick shoes was actually made of glycerin, water, and food coloring.
Okay.
So it was not a biohazard.
Oh.
So that's good, right?
They're so environmentally responsible.
Exactly.
It's great.
We're jumping all over the place, and I apologize.
Yeah.
Going back to the scene where we're talking about when Chunk confesses all that stuff to the Fratellis.
Right.
At one point during that scene, he's eating ice cream.
I smell ice cream!
Yeah. So he's eating the ice cream, and then Jake Fratelli steals the ice cream, like pulls it from his hands, and then he still has the plastic spoon in his mouth, and then Jake takes the spoon out of his mouth, yanks it out of his mouth, and then he starts crying.
Sobbing.
Well, in that scene, if you pay attention really carefully, you can hear Richard Donner giggling off camera.
I've never noticed it because I'm giggling so much in that scene.
Exactly.
Just Chunk's face and the loss of the ice cream.
And that's big. That's big when you're Chunk.
It is. I mean, let's face it, you survived the scene with the stiff.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because ice cream, well, food in general, is the thing that he and Sloth bond over, too.
That's right. They
First, the Baby Ruth. Yeah, he throws the Baby Ruth to him and it hits him in the head and bounces off him.
And then he can't reach it. You're even hungrier than I am.
Exactly. But then eventually when they find the freezer full of ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
And Sloth is like,
Rocky
Road. So good.
How do you smell ice cream? You got to be a kid.
Oh, you got to be Chunk.
Yeah,
you know, maybe that's like an extra sense he has,
Yeah.
So there's a couple of crew members that have little parts in the movie, too.
Oh, that's always cool.
So Jenny Lou Tungend, who was assistant to Richard Donner, has a small role as Data's mom.
Oh, nice. The director of photography, Nick McLean, plays Mouse Father.
Second unit's first assistant director, Newt Arnold, plays one of the men in the shower at the Astoria Country Club. Not sure if he was the one with the soap on the rope, though.
The film's stunt coordinator, George Robotham, plays the guard at the county jail.
And Richard Donner himself has a cameo. He plays one of the sheriff's department guys on the quads toward the end of the movie. So I think that about wraps up the Goonies.
I know. I could sit here and talk about it all day.
I know. I know there's probably somebody listening right now going, what? How can you not talk about such and such? Well, guess what? If you feel that way, if we miss something, by all means, tell us about it. Tell us what your favorite parts of the Goonies are and what your favorite thing about the podcast is.
Yeah.
Email screenfacts@yahoo.com. And also, please rate, comment, and subscribe on iTunes. It helps other people find us, so please do that. And also, you can check out my website, jasondavisvoice.com/podcast. You can get information about all the places that you can download and listen to the podcast, as well as information about Screen Facts t-shirts. We got another classic 80s comedy coming your way next week.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Honey, thanks so much again for being with me here. I love doing this with you. It's always fun.
Thank you for having me back.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Join us again next Wednesday for more Screen Facts with Jason Davis. Bye-bye.